back to another episode of How Yoga Changed My Life. This is Mia,
And Adrian.
and this week we have a guest with us, Bella.
Hi.
We've been chit-chatting for a long time as mostly I troubleshoot my headphones, my speakers, so we've gotten quite comfortable over here on our end. But for our listeners, Bella, introduce yourself. Who is Bella?
Hi, I am Bella. I am 19. I'm living in San Antonio. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm also a current sophomore student at St. Mary's University. Yeah, that's who I am.
Awesome. I think at
Gosh.
19, you are one of our younger guests, if not youngest
Mhm.
guest that we've had on the show, because how old was Campbell when you talked to her,
Ooh,
Adrian?
she was probably either 18 or 19. Yeah.
Nice.
But our youngest guest that is also a yoga teacher,
Yeah. The youngest
right? So,
yoga teacher that I've met in a long time.
yes.
Yay.
So
I'm
tell
dying
us
to
a little
know.
bit
Yeah.
about, right? Yeah, tell us about how exactly that combination has came to be so young and already a yoga teacher.
And a
Yeah.
sophomore in college, too.
Yeah.
True. I'm juggling a lot. I started yoga in high school. In my sophomore year of high school, I was living in Washington State and I had just moved. I'm from a military family, so I'm
Okay.
gonna move around a lot in
Mhm.
this. But we were stationed in El Paso, moved to Washington for my sophomore year. So I was at a new school and I didn't want to take a PE credit. And so
Mhm.
they had a yoga class and I was like, oh, I'm gonna take this. It's gonna be so easy. I won't have to get sweaty. Like, oh, this is gonna be great. And it was so hard. It was so hard. But it was a really nice studio. It was like they turned the lights off. They had like these fun colored lights and it was hard and I was so sweaty, but I was like, oh wow, this is really great.
Wait, I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So, was the studio on campus? Was it part of the
Yeah.
school? And so it was like a
Yeah.
beautiful yoga studio on a college campus.
No, in a high
High
school.
school.
Oh shit, that's right. You said high school because I got sophomore.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why? I want to go to that high school.
And it was funny because it's like it's the smallest little town ever. It's a small high school, but they'd have the main floor and then you'd go down like kind of like in a basement level and they'd have the big gym and everything. And
Hmm.
then right over in the corner was this like lovely studio. And I loved it so much. They later in my high school years, they started this program where like on Wednesdays for like an hour a day, you get to like pick what class you'd go to and they'd have like different activities and everything, but the yoga room would be open and I would be the only person in there for an hour on Wednesdays, just doing
Wow.
my thing. Sometimes just lying there, but
Yeah.
like I'd like get a chance to flow by myself, and it was so nice. But that's where I started. And then it was kind of like consistent just on my own. I never went to any studios or anything until I moved here, about like a year and a half ago, and I started with aerial yoga, like the silks.
I
So
love
I need
that.
some. I didn't have any friends. I just moved here. I'm like, I need something to do. So I found these classes, and then that studio closed down. And then I heard from some of the teachers that I had made friends with. They're like, you should just try yoga. Like
Like
just
regular.
go take regular yoga. Go to yoga class. And I was like, okay. And then I found another studio that I'm at and have so many friends. And I started, and I was like, this is really great. And so I decided to do a certification, and here I am.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Your certification, right? How did you manage to fit that in with school?
So my certification I did was online. A lot of people, I don't know, people have like a bad perception of like
Mm.
online degrees, and that's fair. Like it's really you get what you put into it.
Yeah.
And so it was just accessible for me to do during school, at nights, on weekends. The price point was also affordable. I'm a college student. I can't pay like $3,000 for
Yeah.
or whatever training. So it just kind of worked out. But yeah, I fitted in. I finished, I think I started in like March of last year, and it's self-paced, so I just kind of did it as I could, and I officially finished in June of last year.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what brought you to San Antonio? Was it your family that moving here or was it college?
Kind of both. I graduated in Washington State, and then my dad got a job with USAA
Hmm.
down here. He had gotten the job while I was still in high school and like flying back and forth so I could graduate in the one spot because I've
Nice.
moved around so much. So it
Yeah.
was like let her graduate one spot. And then once I did, pretty much right after I graduated high school, we moved right down here, and St. Mary's was close and it's a good school. And so it all kind
Hmm.
of worked out.
Oh, that's fantastic. So what is
Yeah.
your major now at St. Mary's?
I'm currently changing my major. A little transition period. I was doing theology and communications, and now I am changing to exercise and sports science with theology minor.
Right.
Fantastic.
That
Ooh.
is awesome. And that's new. Like, so
Yes.
I've known Bella for a little bit. Um, Tell us what inspired that change. Like, I have an idea, but
Yeah,
in detail,
exactly.
what was your thought process?
Yeah, no, I'm in the group fitness field a little bit, and so I do really like it. But I think I don't know exactly where I'm gonna take it, but I've been having a lot of interest in like some sort of like rehabilitation, like physical therapy for, I don't know, maybe older people, younger people, whatever population. But I just think it's really interesting. And so I
Mm.
decided, I've been thinking about it for a while, but it's been really scary, and now my parents are like, do it. So we're doing it.
That's fantastic. It's so good that your parents support you too in the
Mhm.
decisions that you make, because
Absolutely.
I mean, I think about being a parent, you guys didn't come with instructions. We didn't come with instructions. And I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, I'm going to fuck up on a daily. I'm
Hmm.
like, and I own my fuck ups, but you also have to kind of work with me a little bit here,
Yeah.
and the opinions that I may have about what I think your future may be are completely opposite of what yours are. But at least let's respect the fact that I'm allowed to have an opinion, and
Hmm.
I will continue to support you in your decisions. It's
Hmm.
like, it's interesting, especially since Brian's died.
Hmm.
The relationship I developed with the girls has gotten so much more clear and tight. So,
Hmm.
and anyway, that's not about me. Let's go back. I want to
Yeah, of
know,
course.
I want to know kind of like the moment that you were like, this is what I need to study more.
The exercise and sports science or the yoga?
Yoga or both. Yeah,
Yeah.
both really.
Mm. Yeah, it was in high school, and just like feeling the room. And I remember like it was kind of like dim, and they had all the lights off and stuff, and we were doing like, I don't know, it was just like sun salutations or something. But then I look up, and like I'm in the back row, the guy in front of me is doing like handstands and stuff, and I'm like, what is happening? And then like we all go back to the locker room, and we're sweating, but we're all like, that was crazy, what was that? And then just like being here, and somebody's like, you should do this, and then I did it, and it just felt like it all came together really well. But
Mm.
yeah, being on the other side of having taken so many classes and then having taught a class, my first class was terrible. It was so bad, but the energy in there was crazy. I was like, wow, they're listening to what I'm saying. They're doing what I'm saying. I'm saying the wrong thing, but they're still doing it. And it's like, it was crazy. And I don't know, it just all fell into place like really nicely.
Since you have such close proximity to the beginning of your teaching career,
Hmm.
tell us more about that, right? You've mentioned the first class. You've told me those first 10 classes, like what were the immediate things that you were noticing?
Yeah, so I taught my first ever class in August at Flora Street. I had like 8 people in the class,
Wow,
which is a lot
that's a
of
lot.
people.
Hmm. Yep.
There was people that I didn't know in there. It was like my family was in the back. It was crazy, but yeah, I remember being so scared. I stayed on the mat the whole time just like this with my knees, and I was like, Warrior 1, Warrior 2. Like it was such a mess. Um, but then I've only been teaching consistently in studio since January with Flora Street. So I think really in this span that I'm in right now is what I've been like learning, putting the flow together. I'll get a flow, and then I'm like, wait, I still need more time. And then I add on, and then I keep adding on, and then I keep adding on. So it's just like everything's building on each other, right? So yeah, I'm just it's a weird phase of like learning how to like read your students is something
Yes.
I'm kind of facing right now, with like injuries, with different mobilities, with different like beginner levels, like trying to adapt and not feel like I need to stick to a script or
Right.
like my scripted flow.
Right. Like, because really you've got your script, right? That makes you your foundation, your scaffolding, right? But now that you're teaching more consistently and you're watching bodies move in front of you, now it's about how do I take the bodies in front of me and make them feel good in the sequence that I want to have eventually for them. Right. So it's like watching the bodies in the room. And I guess I'm wondering, because you had mentioned earlier about the fact of like doing an online teacher training versus like an in-person and how people feel about it. But I think the fact that it's self-paced is great. I think where it can be difficult is the actual practice teaching, right?
Yeah.
And unless you have, a support system of people and the group that you're working with says, hey, we're going to, supply you with, you have to give us 15 hours of observation recorded of you teaching other teachers, or other students. Like that would be one way an online company could possibly make it a little bit better than like, oh my God, I now have bodies in front. Like that's a big shift, right?
Oh yeah.
That's a big
Definitely.
shift. And I remember like my training was a long time ago and it was in person, obviously, because we didn't even have something called Zoom. That's so sad. And I remember the first time getting up and teaching. My first class was a shit show too. I don't know of a yoga teacher that's like, oh my God, my first class was so magical. I was amazing. It's like, you're gonna fuck up. But that jump from like seeing people online to then seeing bodies in front of you has got to be a big shift.
Yeah. No, it was
Yeah.
huge. And sorry, Mia, you want to go?
I was gonna say, yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, it was interesting, especially now actually teaching. I'm like seeing the points that like the online program either like missed or like maybe I missed them and stuff. I'm seeing them and I'm learning them in real time. And one of those is teaching. Like I learned the different poses and like maybe a little bit about the history and stuff, but like it wasn't really teaching me how to teach.
Right.
I think not that it's to say that it came naturally, but like I don't really like, get all that nervous or anything. I have a theater background.
Nice.
So
Helps a lot.
I'm used to that, but yeah, teaching the bodies, adapting. You have to be very, very flexible, not only
Yes.
in the body, but in the mind as well,
Yeah.
which is something I'm kind of finding out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I will say as someone who works closely with Bella, she is very eager to learn, which I appreciate. Like she's a sponge to the point where sometimes I'm like, I can't give her any more information. I'm gonna like give her too much information, too many tips, too much feedback, because that can exist, I think, especially at the beginning of your teaching career. But Bella is a constant learner, which is something, Adrian and I talk a lot about, where I think some people can get stagnant or get like calcified in their teaching, either due to comfort or ego. And, I never lose that, hopefully, right, Bella? Like, of course, learn what you believe in and where you want to stand on your own 2 feet. But I really appreciate how much you're willing to learn and adapt and learn from the people in front of you, whether that's teachers or students, because you do learn so much from the bodies in the room.
Absolutely. And like modeling the behavior for your students, right? Because there isn't just one way to do yoga, right? There's millions of ways because there's millions and millions of different bodies out there. So what I appreciate about a really strong yoga teacher, whether they're the best in the room, is that they're committed to thinking outside of their lineage box, right? To be open. It's almost like, and you're going to run into this with what was the actual title of your major?
Exercise and sports science.
Okay. So in there, you're going to learn a lot of like more of the anatomical things about the body. You're going to learn about pull, push, press, hinge, squat, all the different lunge movements of the body. And then you have your knowledge of yoga, which is going to help link everything together. But where I would say, and this is just my personal opinion, where I say is like your yoga 200-hour training is minimal. It is literally like, it's like taking English 101 your freshman year, and that's the first thing you did. That is, and if you don't do anything more than English 101, that's where you're going to live. you know? So if you don't progress throughout the years and take other trainings, you are stagnant and still you are not changing, you are not adapting, you are not really emulating what yoga is about, right? It is about community. It is about growing. It is about community and change and unity and finding that connection. So really amazing that at 19 years old, you've done a teacher training. Now start adding more and more, whatever you think is cool, right? Like you could study a 50-hour yoga nidra. You could do a Pilates training. You know, I would definitely suggest to all yoga teachers now to go out and find a really strong one-level Pilates, kind of pre-Pilates class, because it does help a lot. Mia, go ahead.
Bella's about to take it with us with Ask Whoever. Bella, I have two questions, two thoughts. One being around how did you get out of that, the shift from teacher training to actually teaching, especially, I don't think it's just online trainings. Some in-person trainings really struggle with the teaching component.
Yep.
What did you do, since it was 100% on you, what did you do to get yourself out there and to figure out the teaching component?
Yeah, so I remember the shift of when I started doing the program and like getting in the headspace of like, okay, I am in this training to become a yoga teacher. And so pretty much in any class I would take, it kind of sucked. Like I wouldn't take the class. I was be like fully listening. What is she saying? What are they saying? What is the music? What's the sequences? Like I was analyzing every class and like picking up things, pocketing things that I liked, and trying to figure out kind of like what I wanted to create. I didn't get that I didn't like hit it in my first class, but I've been building on it. And I think now I kind of have a better idea of like just the vibe I wanted to create. And I really do think my theater background helped of like projecting my voice and like saying whatever. And yeah, and honestly, our mentorship sessions helped so much of like working with a computer, but then actually working face to face. And like you were like, say these to me, and I was like, oh, I've never said that out loud before.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's
my
hard.
second, sorry, Adrian.
No, go.
My second thought, and I think it's because we know each other. Early teachers can come across a lot of pitfalls that I think can stop them from teaching. You kind of went through something very unique, but also not unheard of, which is what's unfortunate. Can you tell us a little bit about your entry into teaching and what was kind of unique about that, if you know what I'm referencing?
I don't know what you're referencing.
Okay. I'll give you a quick
Sorry,
intro.
give me a minute.
Bella got reached out to through social media to teach some yoga classes. Very unique. Take it away, Bella.
Okay, go.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. So I got reached out to. So my mom actually went to this spa place in San Antonio for a little massage and was bragging about me, as she does, that, oh, my daughter's a yoga teacher and da 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 da. And they were like, oh, we've been wanting to do yoga. We've been wanting to have that in our space. And so we got in contact. We worked together for months. We worked together, lots of conversations, lots of talking about everything, negotiating everything. And we did some little pop-up events. I taught I think it was like 3 30-minute classes back to back. These were like, I had taught one class. That was all that I had in my repertoire. Yeah, it was supposed to be like a little calming event and stuff. The events went great. My friends came out, my family came out. It was such a good vibe. And then basically afterwards, they kind of cut the relationship and told me they didn't want to negotiate with me because I wasn't big business. I didn't have a big enough platform. Saying that I blindsided them with pay, and like there were conversations that weren't had, but they were had. And it really sucked, and it hurt my feelings. I'm sensitive. It hurt my feelings.
Absolutely.
Was basically they told me like it was embarrassing that my family came to my events because that's not the kind of people they wanted to bring in.
Wow. How fucking rude.
Yeah, it was bad. And I should have known. Mia told me. She was like, I wouldn't do this.
It's
But I
really
did it.
hard though. It's really hard because when you're a new teacher, it's like you're
excited.
excited. You have this knowledge that you want to share with the world. And it's like somebody, it's like that whole idea. Have you tried yoga? Have you tried yoga? Oh my God, I know yoga. Why don't I bring it to you? We could do goat yoga. We could do snake yoga. We could do rabbit yoga. You know, it's like all of these ways. And some of them work really, really well. And some of them shit the bed. And the majority of them shit the bed because people aren't invested.
Yeah.
Right. But looking back, what do you think were some of the red flags prior to even those little,
Yeah.
yoga sessions? What were those conversations and things that, now looking back cued you in onto, oh, this was not a good relationship?
Yeah. No, something I had brought, because we were doing our mentorship sessions during this. So something I had brought to you was it weird in our first conversation that they told me that they're Christians and wanted to make sure I wasn't doing any crazy stuff? And you were like, yeah, that's weird.
Oh my God, that is weird. Yeah.
And they told her, like, they didn't really want her using Sanskrit.
Yeah.
They also were very hyper focused on yoga and tea ceremony, yoga and matcha, right? Things of that nature.
They would show me like I got on Instagram, like, look what this studio is doing in Austin. Look at they're doing yoga and sound bath and matcha. Look what they're doing. Like, it was just constant when we were talking, look what they're doing, instead of like, what can we be doing that's like natural or like unique. It was very fabricated. It was weird.
Fake.
There was also a big focus on like what I was wearing and like how they wanted me to present. I have like tattoos and stuff. They didn't want me to, they were like natural earthy colors but covered, and like we did a whole photo shoot
Oh,
thing.
Jesus. They were trying to make you into something that was like a Stepford yogi or something. What the fuck? That is creepy.
Yeah, it was a
intense.
vibe. And they were like with their iPhone, they're like, look serene, look blissful, look, you have to embody this so people will know when you post on your page that you are yoga.
Fuck that shit, dude. That is disgusting. And I'm so sorry at 19 years old you had to go through that, because that's not the way that yoga is shared. It's not about trying to look like somebody else. It's not about trying to cover up who we are. It's not trying to dull our shine. It's to brighten and give us that bright light.
Absolutely.
That's
and now
crazy.
I'm grateful to be at a studio where I can not do whatever, but I can be myself.
Be yourself.
You can show your tattoos.
Exactly. And that's a big deal though. It's like that. I was just saying earlier, it's hard when you have a yoga space and then it, closes and you got to try to find a new yoga home. And, finding that yoga home where you feel I can be myself, right? I was saying this earlier this week that, my whole career, every time right before I teach a class, I get super nervous. I get that pit in my stomach feeling. I get that nausea, like butterflies, like, don't fuck this up, But I know that that's like nervousness is also excitement, right? So I know that it's me leaning into what I love. But after Brian died, I was like, I don't know if I could teach again. I don't know if I can do this. And I went through and started to sequence. And then I went to get ready to teach my first class this week. And I walked into the space feeling a lot more grounded. So I don't know if it's like, don't sweat the small stuff is gone.
Yeah.
Or if it's like, I feel a little bit more grounded because Brian's with me in my heart and in my spirit, my space, like all the time now. Like, I don't know. It was just very interesting. I'm still nervous. I'm still, sequencing my freaking ass off to try to make sure that I'm prepared and that, people feel comfortable and held. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting when, you first go through teacher training and you have this way, and being that you're young, you have so many cool avenues you can pursue, especially with a degree, and that's something that I think is sad about the yoga community is that, and we've talked about this a lot, is, in the West, we've capitalized on it. Yoga studios offer yoga teacher trainings so that they can have another, avenue of profit, of making money, revenue, right? And then they also, I think what the biggest thing is delineate it, right? If you want to just be, I want you to learn about yoga 200 hours, but I'm not going to go teach it, right? That would be one way you could do a 200 hour. The second way would be is if you're actually going out and teaching. But I think that the problem that we have with yoga programs in schools is that they don't make that delineation, right? So it's like you can go and just like you can study English 101, right? But you're studying it because you want to get to English 201, right? Or 202 or whatever the next level is, and teach. There's a difference. And I think that that's where a lot of programs fail people.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to your story now, tell us about the time that you could see yoga kind of come off the mat and into your life. Like, when did you notice the change in yourself, and when did others notice the change if they did?
Yeah. So I have a lot of anxiety. I've been like, even since I was a baby, I rub my hands together. That was like, oh, Bella's anxious, because I would scratch and stuff. So I've always had a lot of anxiety, and honestly, starting yoga in high school was really, really important for me and for my mental health. That was my sophomore year, but I went through a really hard time in my junior and senior year. I didn't have a lot of friends. My friends had like graduated. I was always friends with older people. No, nobody my age ever. So it was really bad. I went through a lot of anxiety times where I thought I was just gonna like switch to online school because I couldn't be in school. It was really, really hard for me. And so to have that practice, I started noticing that I was doing it at home. I was doing it just in my room. And it wasn't even like following flows. I would just be in child's pose for like 10 minutes. And I was like, I think this is helping. And especially holding like a lot of anxiety in the body and stuff, that like really helped for me to have that space. And then and moving and all those years later, seeing it come back. There were a couple years where like, I didn't really think about it or anything, but then it just all kind of came back. It started with the aerial yoga and doing that. But then once I moved on to the mat, I was like, wow, this is something that I've forgotten about, something that I've forgotten that I loved. And then and then I do so much. And yeah, I really fell back into it, and I was there every single day, and I was just in having conversations with my parents. They were like, this is helping you. Like, this is really helping your anxiety. You're building a community. You're finding your place wherever that is. You're building that for yourself, and it's making a difference. And so to hear that from them, that they could see like how important this was to me, and just the things I was building, I was like, yeah, no, it is. And I didn't even realize it was. Like I said earlier, it just fell into place so well. And it's funny now to be a sophomore in college and still be doing the same thing I was doing as sophomore in high school. It's like, oh, wow, it's kind of full circle.
But it works, right? It's a working practice. And I think that's what thing that's very interesting about yoga is that you can find it, love it, and then all of a sudden kind of get off path and then get right back on path again. And it's like, why did I walk away from this? Something happened. But being a sophomore, so you literally transferred from one school to the next from your freshman year to your sophomore year of high school. I mean, that's a big shift. That's a hard shift. And like, especially at this day and age where it's constant. And being in theater, my daughter had a horrible situation in high school with a boyfriend who ended up breaking up with her and got the entire theater department to bully her.
No.
Like, it was,
Kids are the worst.
Well, and I didn't know the details back in the day. I thought that it was mostly, her kind of acting because she had had some medication changes. So I thought that it was more her responsibility, right? Like more on her fault, air quotes. God, how terrible I feel about that. But then when she opens up and says, no, not only did we break up and he was an asshole, but he also trash talked me and would bully me in the hallways and have other people do it. Just gross fucking behavior. So like, if you went through anything like that, especially in the theater departments, like, no offense, theater people, I was a singer, so I was in choir, same kind of thing, we're creative. We have a lot of energy, we have a lot of anxiety, and we have a lot of things to do. So, did you run into that kind of stuff, like with the bullying and all that?
Yeah, definitely. I've always kind of struggled in school. Like, I'm a social person, I think. But I have a hard time. I have a hard time making friends. I think moving around so much as a kid and going to so many schools, I've always had a hard time doing it because everything's always getting switched up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely ran into that a lot, especially from I was there for my sophomore year, and then I got to graduate at that school. So I was there for 3 years, and that's like the most I've ever been at any school. So it was really crazy to like see cycles of friendships. And so I'd have a big friend group, and then something happened and then I didn't, and it was really, really, really hard. And it
Yeah.
gets harder as you get older. When you're little and like those things happen, then it's like, oh, whatever. But like, no, it was harder.
Yeah.
And definitely in the theater, that's such a good way to put it, as in like there's so much anxiety and there's so much to do, because
Mhm.
there is.
There
I
is.
was I was a
Yeah.
drama club president, and
Yeah.
there was so much to do, and it ran me into the ground. And it was like I was the leader of the group, but I was so isolated, and
Mm.
I felt so far from everybody, and it was really, really hard. And I had a really, really good relationship with my theater teacher, and like I would sit in her room all day. My schedule purposely was like 3 classes of hers, and I would
Mm.
sit in there. She had my chair that I would sit in there. We
Oh.
were that was literally my only friend at times, and
Yeah.
she's great, and I miss her, honestly. um but yeah, I went through it. Kids are mean. It's
Oh,
hard.
they're
I'm
awful.
very grateful that like my mom, I'm not grateful that my mom kind of struggled with the same thing, but I'm grateful that she knows.
Yeah.
And really, my mom and my dad were so helpful in that time for me. I was also going through like chronic migraines, and like it
Oh.
was just a really crappy time, but I had the support there. I also had like my boyfriend who I met there, who I'm still with today.
Oh.
But he graduated, and so it was hard because he's 2 years older.
Yeah.
So then I was like, oh, I'm here by myself. I don't have anybody, but I had like a support
Yeah.
net. But
Outside
it's
of the
hard.
school.
School is really hard.
School's really hard. You couldn't pay me money to go back to like middle school, high school. Fuck that shit. No
Never.
way. No
Oh my
way.
God, never.
Well, and I mean, thinking about where you are now, like, and
Mhm.
your kind of journey through yoga, how have you been able to kind of apply that in the situations outside of your mat, in these
Mhm.
relationships at school?
Yeah, I think I was listening to someone on like the Colbert Show the other day, and he was talking about like everybody should be in the service industry for a little bit in your life to learn kindness. And I think it's
Yes.
the same about like being bullied. Like you learn a lot being mistreated. You learn a lot about what I don't want to do to other people.
Right.
And so I kind of carry that with me. And I also grew up with a mom that was like, you don't know everything about that person. Like, we don't like them, but we're not going to be super mean because you don't know what's going on.
Right.
So I have a lot of built-in empathy.
Yes.
That's just kind of stuck with me. Maybe has made me overly sensitive at times and like overthink, but I'm grateful for it. It's something I have, and I will always have, and I carry that with me in life, but also on the mat is something I've been learning, and being kind to not only yourself and your body, but like for the other people in in your class, and
Yeah.
being respectful of them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you, I mean, being 19 years old and I'm almost 51. Okay.
Mhm.
So I literally have a 20-year-old. So I have a daughter that's older than you, which is crazy.
I'll be 20 in May. I'm
Okay,
coming
good.
up.
Okay, good. Oh, are you a Taurus?
Yes.
Me too. Me too. But anyway, like the idea of walking into a yoga class and teaching it and being the youngest in the room, I mean, I don't know a ton of people that are your age that are teaching yoga. So how
Mhm.
does that feel to you?
Yeah, people are really weird about it.
I bet.
People are, yeah, it's not expecting it. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, do I look older? Because I'll get people be like, oh, you want to go get a drink or something? I'm like, no, I can't. And they're like, and I'm like, do I look older? I
You
don't know if
do.
it's
You
like
look
a
like you're in
vibe.
you look like you could be 21, but you don't look
Okay.
old. You just look like you're an older soul that you could pass and
Okay.
go get a 6-pack at a C-store. No one would know.
Fair enough. But yeah, people are really
Not that you're going to
weird
do
about
that.
it. And I feel like sometimes it honestly scares people away. Like there's been a couple of times after class where somebody be like, how old are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm 19. And then I never see them again. And I'm
Mm.
like, do you not feel safe in the class?
How
Like,
dumb is
I'm
that
like,
though?
yeah, I don't know if that's the age thing, but yeah, it's a lot of weird looks. It's a lot of, I don't know, people maybe not taking me seriously. I think a lot with the spa
Yeah.
earlier in my yoga career, like maybe being I don't know, manipulated a little
Taken
bit
advantage of
because
for sure.
yeah.
Oh,
Um
100%.
yeah, so even though I'm younger, I still have to kind of know where I'm at and like be super aware of any like interactions that I have. I have to protect myself. I have to protect my space. And I'm grateful I have like a bunch of people that I can be like, hey, is this weird? Just checking in. And
Yeah.
they're like, no, you're good. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I don't
Exactly.
overthink it. But yeah,
Well,
I have to get over the weird looks. I have it's not me.
no,
It's
and
just my
people, well,
age.
that's a really good point though, Bella, because when you're in any class, the weird looks happen on a regular.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's not you. It could also just be their face.
Yeah.
Like it's a
Most of the
very
time it's their face.
real thing that
Yeah.
happens. Yeah.
There's been many
And
times.
afterwards, like that was great. And you're like, you looked like you wanted to punch me.
Exactly.
Like what?
I know.
I've had that happen.
Oh
It's
my God.
shocking.
So many times where I'm like, oh my God, they hated it. And then afterwards they're like, that was the best class. Or you think, oh my God, that was the worst class I've ever taught. And they're like, that was the best class you've ever taught. You're like, what the fuck? What's
I
happening?
can never tell.
No.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
told
why.
Adrian, yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
told Adrian there was a student who I was like, she looked pissed the whole time. It doesn't normally bother me, but I could just tell that she was judging me. And this was like this past year. She was judging me and she was this and she was that. And I just knew she didn't like it. And I haven't told you this, Adrian. She's been back several times.
Nice.
I'm like,
Exactly.
She's
Exactly.
like, tell me about her life. And I'm like, yeah, this is just her personality. I think like it just gives off that vibe and energy.
Oh, 100%. I had a student that would come in to one of my classes that I taught that was like a high intensity interval training weight class, right? And it was heated. And she would come to class and she's like, well, I don't normally sweat, and I was like, oh shit, like, okay, she's really good shape, looked fit, blah, blah, blah. Within like the first couple of minutes of class, like Sun A, Sun B, she says out loud to me, Adrian, like in the middle of class, look, I'm sweating. And she's like one of my favorite students. And I haven't seen her for a while because I just started to come back to work. But, having people like that you're like, whoa, I don't think they're going to like me at all. Or I don't think that they liked that class. They're never coming back. And then the next thing you know, they're like, you're my favorite teacher, And so I would tell you, there's a few things you can do being kind of like a more, what is it? What do they call it in The Deadliest Catch? A greenhorn? Is that what they call it? Like, have you ever seen that show?
Mm-mm.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, it's a weird reference.
Is it a fish?
No.
It
So
is a
Deadliest
fishy
Catch.
show.
Yeah, it's about crab fishing, like Alaskan
Okay.
crabbing, right?
The
Oh,
ocean.
okay.
And so when they go out on the boat and there's somebody new on the boat, they call them a greenhorn. Okay.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like, being green, like learning your way through things. And you've been doing it for a little bit now, which is great. And what you'll notice is that there's things that you can do to protect your energy, right? So that when you go in and out of the space, you don't take anything with you that's not good and you don't leave anything behind, right? So you learn how to put yourself in, like an energy bubble. And I think we have a episode. I think we have an episode. Did we do the energy bubble or the protective shield? I think we've done that one on the pod before.
Pretty sure.
But that's a great little thing you can do where you just kind of set a little bubble around yourself. Like everything that I have that's good, that's going to come out is going to be able to go through this bubble. Anything good that's going to be able to come in through this bubble, everything else is going to bounce off, right? Nothing is going to come with me. Get into the habit of doing like a little ritual before and after class, right? Wash your hands, wash your feet. That's what I used to do. And you could do that at Flora Street because they've got 2 bathrooms. So you could go in and wash your hands, wash your feet before and after class. And that might make you feel a little bit more grounded and more less of like, I had a woman throw a yoga block while I was trying to help her out in the middle of class. And I was like, I could have taken that as like, oh, at the moment I was like, well, what the hell's wrong? Like, what did I do? But then I'm like, I'm not worried about it. People are peopling, right? People are just going to be who they are. And your job is to co-create an experience with them in that moment that'll never happen again.
Yeah.
And walk away, and hopefully leave the place and space a little better than you found it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been working a lot with grounding and staying present. As simple as it is, it's very hard for me. Within the past couple of months, honestly, I've started having really bad panic attacks out of nowhere in various situations. And it's been really, really hard. And now a fear of having panic attacks because they happen randomly. And so I've been working in therapy to because my therapist, I was talking through all of this, and she goes, have you just tried being present and like grounding? And I'm like, how do I do that? I don't know how to do that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Why don't they teach
constantly
you that
thinking
shit in
about 30
school?
other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a loaded statement. Have you tried just like being present? It's
And
like a
true.
really hard skill.
Thanks, Sandra. Love you.
Yeah. That, or when they say, oh, just be mindful. What the
Yes.
fuck?
You
It's
try
like,
breathing.
how?
Don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
Don't worry. Oh, I want to punch somebody in the throat. It's like,
Just put it out of your mind.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you're just being crazy.
Yes.
You're just
No, they would never say that to
obsessing.
you in therapy.
I know I've had it. Oh, not in therapy, but
No.
I've had people say that about me.
Yeah. Or you're just obsessing about things, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's,
Yeah.
so keep going. So we interrupt. Go ahead. I'm like pretending to be somebody that's a hater.
No. It really is the grounding and staying present. And like, I have a friend who is also a yoga teacher, and she does in all of her classes. She's like, one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly, and just feeling what you're holding.
Mhm.
And I do that a lot.
What are the other grounding things that, because you said grounding and being present, but then what are the tools? What are the little things?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I do love a headphone.
Yeah.
Like a noise canceling or removing myself from a situation.
Mhm.
Medications if you need it.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people don't either, they don't want to or they don't like it, but honestly, like anti-anxiety pills, like sometimes you need it. And there's been moments where I've needed them and I relied on them
Mhm.
in a healthy way, of course.
Mhm.
Sorry, my phone. Yeah. Sorry if I'm confusing the question a little bit.
No, you're not at all.
Mm.
No, I mean, I think it's like when you think about being grounded, what if you're in a situation where you're, you know, having these kind of random panic attacks, right?
Yeah.
How are you getting through those? Or
Yeah.
like, can you tell when they're about to start?
Yeah, I can tell. I have a weird thing. I don't know if I haven't actually talked to people about this. I don't know if it's a communal thing, but my arms will get tingly. Like my all down my arms, it's like when your leg falls asleep, you get static. My arms will go tingly, and I'm like, my spidey senses are like, oh no,
Oh,
something's
no.
something's happening. And then also just kind of like a feelings. I've learned to like designate them when it's the feelings in my belly. That's just nervousness. That's fine. When it moves up to like ribs a little bit, that's like a little higher degree. That's more adrenaline. And then,
Mhm.
but when it's in my chest, that's when I feel panic.
Yeah.
And so learning those tiers also has helped me. Okay, I'm just feeling a little nervous, this is fine, but when I feel it, I'm like, oh, that's the panic, that's like the heat.
Yeah.
So seeing those signs. Also, again, can't talk about how amazing my family is. Like telling them like, I'm feeling a little scared. My mom goes through the same anxiety, except way worse, but she knows exactly what I'm going through. So helping them, let's take a walk, let's go out. Also affirmations, honestly, people don't take affirmations seriously enough.
I agree.
I don't think,
I
because they
agree.
can feel silly. But it's just telling yourself you're safe, I'm safe in my body is a good place to be, over and over and over again. And it truly makes a difference, because I saw an interesting thing that was like, your body hears what your mind
Absolutely
thinks. So whatever you're telling it, it will follow.
100%. There's a famous quote that says, the words you speak become the house you live in. And it's true 100%. I say this I actually had like 2 different new clients come in this week, and I said to both of them throughout the conversation about, you know, looking at their bodies, and they're like, well, I'm just so disappointed, or I just hate this about myself, or I just really, you know, I all I see is this. And I'm like, okay, well, try the practice of going to a mirror, closing your eyes, and pretending, you know, the one thing that you can't stand about yourself, focus on that, open your eyes, all you're gonna see is that. But if you go in front of the mirror and you close your eyes and you focus on the thing that's beautiful about you, like my eyes are very sparkly, or I have little freckles, or I have the best long curly hair, and then you open your eyes, that's what you're going to see.
Absolutely. 100%.
So I think it's interesting. And I think, so you said that these kind of panic attacks have been coming up randomly, right? So have you been able to kind of pinpoint how they're like the situation or anything like that, any similarities or any kind of like red string, you know, tie these pieces together?
Yeah, a little bit. But when I say it's random, it really is random. But there is a thread, a little bit of me not being in control. I am in a little bit of a control freak. I had an experience probably like over last 2 years ago, December. I was flying up to my boyfriend now lives here with me, but at one point we were long distance and he was in Washington, so I flew up to visit him, and it was the worst flight of my entire life. I was by myself. Wasn't my first ever flight by myself, probably like my third, but I was by myself. The worst turbulence I've ever experienced. People screaming, crying, praying out loud not to die. The cart that they were pulling with food spilled. Yeah, people falling. Like it was horrific, and it honestly set me off and like to months of like a depressive anxiety. Like I thought I was gonna die. I really did. It was the scariest thing I've ever gone through. And so that being out of control, that feeling so helpless in that moment, I don't even like being in the backseat of a car now. I like to be the one driving. I like to be the one having the reins on situations. And so anytime I'm not, I think I feel not safe. And so I have to tell myself I am safe.
Yeah.
I have to reinforce that.
Well,
There's been a lot of times like in cars when it'll happen, again, being in the backseat, not being the one driving, or just being in various places, but it really is random. And then the fear of having the panic attack, even if I'm not actively having one, I'm scared that I'm gonna have one.
Right. And then you end up triggering one usually, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
But I think it's interesting that you said that. Like, I'm a control freak, right? Like, I like to control things. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can't control an airplane. You can't control someone driving a car. You can't control the way someone looks at you or the way someone feels about you. But what can you control?
How I react to those things
and how you respond.
What I tell myself in those moments, the inside portion.
Because that's all we can control. And that's the thing that I find so fascinating is that we are always looking outside of ourselves for confirmation that we're good. Right. But it's like, but if you are really truly working from the inside out, you're emulating that. You know, you're modeling that. And I feel like when you show people, especially at 19 years old, like I went through this traumatic experience that scared the shit out of me. And I am having some repercussions in my physical body and in my mind. And I'm working with my practice to figure that out, you know. Learning how to regulate your nervous system by breath work is huge, right?
Yeah.
Like learning how to take a longer exhale to tap into that system and be able to calm your body down, to be able to calm your heart rate down, and to do that in a way where you're like, damn, I'm good. Like I'm proud of myself. When I remember when like Apple, the iWatches, whatever they're called, came out and they would measure your heart rate. And so I would sit and I would meditate and I would hit the heart rate and I would sit there and I would try to drop my heart rate as low as I possibly could over a time frame and just sit there and keep breathing out and then noticing like, oh, if I thought about something, my heart rate went up a little bit.
Yeah.
If I emptied my mind, my heart rate went down. You know what it was like? It was like a fun little game because it was like I could control exactly where my heart rate was based off of my breath control, my body control, my mind control. It's really cool. So I think, you know, you being as young as you are, I think you probably one of the reasons why people come in and are intimidated, which is what it is, if they're older and not want to learn from you because they may not feel like you've had enough life experience or that you know what's going on. But you're human. You've had a human experience just like everyone else. We're sharing in a human experience, not like which is worse or which is better. I'm 51, you're 20. You know, I can learn from you just as much as you can learn from me, period.
Yeah, 100%.
Bella, this has been awesome.
Yes.
Yay!
Thank you so much for being on the episode, on the podcast. I think a lot of folks can learn from your story or resonate with your story, right? All teachers at some point are at that beginning part of their career. And I think a lot of people listen to this podcast in hopes of becoming a teacher one day and can hopefully recognize some of the red flags, can hopefully push themselves to get out into that teaching discomfort zone because it can be uncomfortable. And I really appreciate you sharing that. And I hope more schools bring yoga.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? Because
they need it.
We need
Hey,
it so
let's shout
bad.
out your high school in Washington State.
Yes.
I seriously, like, I want to shout them out, and I want to put a link in the show notes to this high school because they are doing some seriously amazing shit out there by having a yoga studio in their high school. Everybody else needs to pick this shit up and start learning it because this is how you're going to make kids healthier and happier, is giving them a space where they can be calm, they can move, and they can breathe.
Absolutely. Stellicum High School.
I think one of my favorite parts was when you said, get over the weird looks. It's not you, it's their face.
I was not as young as Bella when I started teaching, but
You
I
were
was
fairly young.
Yeah, I was like 2 years older, I think.
Yeah.
I started teaching as a senior in college, right at the end, right towards when I graduated. So I definitely understand some of those, apprehensive looks that she probably gets.
Yeah. I mean, so we talked about this, but she is our youngest yoga teacher that we've interviewed so far at 19 years old is when she started. And kind of what I think is really valuable about her story specifically is that just like you, she found yoga early. She found it earlier than you did.
Yeah.
Because you found it in college. She found it her sophomore year in high school.
Yeah. Jealous.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Me too.
Whenever I think about my yoga story, I'm like, I wish I had had it sooner.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's interesting because, she kind of talked a lot about the ageism, not feeling good enough, not being old enough, or not being taken for, taken advantage of, especially. And just kind of how, getting back to what you just said about, I wish I had yoga in high school. Right? It's like moving someplace new.
I mean, I needed it in middle school.
I needed it in middle school for sure.
I needed it so badly in middle school.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Middle school was tough. Middle school was really rough for
awful.
me. My parents got divorced. When I told one of my best friends, she laughed. She thought I was joking. So I just acted like it was a joke and I did it.
Oh my God.
I was like, okay, forget it. Like,
No, seriously?
yeah, seriously.
She thought it was a joke.
She thought I was joking because I was a big
Oh my
jokester. I joked a lot. And so she thought I was joking. I was like, you know what? Yeah, haha, just left it alone, so there was no one I could even talk to about it. All of my best friends that were on my soccer team switched to a different soccer team, and I was like so sad and heartbroken. They went to another town.
Oh my gosh.
How lame. It was the first year I ever didn't do well on like an end of year state test because I was just like, I think so upset about the soccer thing.
Yeah. Well, and your parents getting
My
divorced.
parents getting divorced.
Like, don't forget, you're more upset about the soccer thing. Not going to lie. In middle school, that probably was more important.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's just priorities for kids. You know?
Totally.
You know.
And so, middle school was tough. I was still having like parent teacher conferences every year, like on a probably bi-monthly basis because I was getting into so much trouble. I was so snarky. So no, I could have used middle school way back when.
Yeah, exactly. And like,
I could have used yoga way back when. I didn't need middle school. I had middle school.
I don't want to go back to middle school ever.
I mean, I'm in middle school every single day.
I know. I mean, just the awkwardness. Like I remember even with my kids going through middle school and it's like at the end of 1 year, this kid's got this really high voice and he's so cute and he's tiny. And then he comes back to school. Hey. Hi, how are you? And he's got a full mustache.
Good to see you, Miss Smith.
Exactly. And he's like ripped with muscles and you're like, what the fuck happened to you over the summer? Like what'd you put in your Wheaties? Oh, I just find that crazy. But middle school is an awkward time. And if we had yoga, if we had accessible ways of moving our body and breathing and moving that wasn't judging and it wasn't comparing and contrasting and competitive, I mean, just giving us the skill sets to self-regulate.
Yeah.
Self-regulate.
I mean, that's why I'm thrilled about my new job, right? I think Bella's story really reiterates a belief that I had that if I had, had yoga sooner in life, if I had had yoga in school, if my students could have yoga in school, that their life would be improved.
When you teach kids how to breathe and you teach kids how to sit quietly or even move their body and regulate their nervous system, that's what we should be teaching in school.
Absolutely.
Everything else is going to come because you can't have math, science, reading, writing without a regulated nervous system.
Yeah, you can't learn when you're dysregulated.
Right. But yet that's what we're doing with our kids.
That's what we're asking of them.
Yeah.
100%. One, I think there are kids who show up to school regulated because maybe they, for whatever reason. And there are kids that show up dysregulated, and we tend to write off the dysregulated ones.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. They can't learn, they need medication, they're this, they're that, right? They don't want to learn.
They have an
they're
attitude.
Defiant. Yes. Right. And so there's a million stories that we could tell, and that's all they are, stories, right?
Exactly.
We're creating a narrative that's not necessarily there versus giving them the tools to return to center. And so I'm thrilled to hopefully add to my students' tool belts.
Are you kidding? You are going to be, it's absolutely your dream job.
Yeah, absolutely. A dream job that I had quit dreaming. And so if you hadn't heard, I am now teaching yoga for half the day at my new school. I'm switching schools and I'm starting twice a week. All students will have yoga twice a week, K through 12 at my new campus. And it's something that I've wanted to do since probably 2020 when I did my kids yoga teacher training. And I had kind of quit believing it. Here I am 6 years later. It took 6 years for this to kind of come to fruition. And because I had seen other teachers do it at a very specific charter school that we do have in San Antonio, and one of the principals from that charter school knew that I taught yoga and I think wanted me as a teacher. She knew my husband. My husband worked there. And so she told him, Mia can teach yoga. Let her know. I said, oh my God, I'll be there. And so it's when I knew I was leaving my very first campus. So it was my third year of teaching. I knew that I wanted to leave. And then it got to me through the grapevine. Well, just, it'd only be half the day. I said, no worries. I will do whatever you want the other half of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to teach yoga that badly. Then I got on a call with the principal and it changed to, you can have a yoga club after school. And I was like, bitch, I already have a yoga club after school.
Exactly.
And so I was like, okay, they use this thing that I really, really love to try to, bait and switch me. And I'm glad that it got cleared up before I signed a contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I had all these dreams, all these hopes, all these aspirations. And I think because that was such a letdown of an experience, I kind of stopped thinking it was possible.
Right. Well, I mean, I totally can relate to that. Even just being up in Chicago and trying to get yoga into schools and just like, pushing water uphill in some cases. And then having that carrot being dangled in front of you and really thinking this is going to be it, and then have that taken away from you, that's awful.
Yeah, it was really tough. And so I'm really grateful that honestly someone else was, I feel like, looking out for me.
Yeah.
My friend Doug, who's a part of this innovative school practice, knew that I taught yoga, knew that I was passionate about it. I don't think he even knew that I was certified in kids yoga necessarily.
Oh, wow.
And so then once we started talking, it just all, fell into place. And so I'm over the moon. We're starting with 2 days a week. I'm hoping that we do minimum 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And I'm open to 5 days a week. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I will teach yoga every single day if you let me.
Well, I'm excited because then I get to pass along some of the old yoga tools that I have that, that I love to incorporate in my yoga classes for kids. And, I just think that looking at Bella's story and the fact of like what it did for her, she suffered with panic attacks as well.
Right.
She had to move like all the time with
Just
the family.
tough.
Yeah. I mean, and people don't really recognize that, especially as a kid. I mean, I didn't recognize it. Let's be honest. My kids have moved a lot. I never moved
a lot. Yeah, I moved a ton.
Yeah, I didn't. I moved when I was 18, when I went to college.
Yeah.
I stayed in the same, technically 5 years old. We moved from one part of New Jersey to another part of New Jersey, but that was it.
Versus I went to a different school for kindergarten, new school for first grade, new school for second grade, new school for fourth grade, new school for fifth grade, new school for sixth grade. I stayed at my middle school all 3 years, which I was like over the moon about.
Yeah.
I stayed at my high school for all 4 years, which I was over the moon about. But I mean, I think
early education wise, you were
all over the place. I think there was something I was convinced. Parts of speech, noun, adverb,
adjective,
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
If I think long enough, I could tell you what those things are. But I'm convinced that wherever I was, they were going to teach it the next year. And then I was somewhere else and they had already taught it the past year. Like,
no. Yeah.
I'm like, huh?
So you
I
missed
really
out on
struggle
something.
with that part of speech and language where I'm like, I know, actually, I probably can't tell you what an adverb is. I do know what a noun is.
And an adjective.
An adjective. I know what an adjective is. I know what a verb is. What's an adverb?
Oh God.
Anyways, listeners, if you know what an adverb is, your education must have been strong.
I'm going to look it up. I want to know what an adverb is right now. Adverb.
And you're right. I mean, and I think
we're now an English podcast, English language podcast.
No, totally. I think though that yoga provided connection.
Yeah. That's the biggest learning I got out of this too, was like, it's connection, not just to yourself. It's a connection to community. It's a connection, like almost the same idea of, I was going to use this example, but now I'm not going to, a library. You know, being able to go to a public library and go to some place in a new town and be in a space and place with like-minded people. Right. Like it's something that's in all communities for the most part, I think. Right. Or parks.
Yeah.
Public parks.
Yeah.
Right. Not that yoga's public. Right. I mean, as far as it's paid.
Right.
You know,
a lot
of it's paid. And, you know, let's talk about the fact she's 19 years old. She's a green yoga teacher. She's in a new town. She's in college and she's trying to, you know, share yoga. And there's something super passionate about that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think yoga, you know, it almost is serving as a third space. Right. Of course, I think a lot of us are practicing yoga in paid communities. Right. We have to pay a drop-in or a membership. But I think in terms of what it fosters, you know, she said she was searching for friends.
Yeah.
And she found herself at a yoga studio.
Yeah.
I think yoga, even as she's now a sophomore in college, is serving a lot of connection. Like I know Bella.
Yeah.
I know Bella through yoga.
Yeah.
We met specifically at the yoga clothing swap that we had at Florist Street, which was so cool. And then a year later, we literally swapped clothing again. I think both times we got each other's clothes.
Oh, that's so funny.
We really like each other's clothing.
You got styles, same.
And I mean, that is the purpose of yoga. Yoga is connection, union, yoke, right? You've probably heard that in a class before. And if not, you're hearing it right now, and maybe you'll pick up on it the next time a teacher mentions it. But a lot of times that looks like a connection between self fostered by pranayama.
Yep.
Right? A connection with self through self-study, svadhyaya.
Yep.
And ultimately it does create this connection, and it's mentioned with like a higher power, right? Like a union
with a
greater purpose, greater power, and that puts you in connection with your community.
Yeah. It's like a universal connection.
Yeah.
Right. It's like we're all humans. We're all on this planet. We all have suffering. We all have trauma. We all have hopefully love and joy and happiness, but there's a commonality to all of us. And that thread can be through yoga.
And I think that connection thread, that community thread is overlooked, but I think it is one of the most essential things we're searching for.
Yes. Well, humans have a primal need for connection.
Right.
Right. That's like a truth. Like we don't want to be, we're not a lone solo, you know, species. We work better together. And I think that, you know, if you look at society right now, we're not working together. We're working in separate little silos with our own agendas and our own belief systems and our own kind of selfishness.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think when someone feels alone, when there's a lack of community, when there's a lack of connection, that's where we get these rifts.
Yes.
Right. That's where we get these problems. That's where we get these traumatic, you know, events. And if we just had a little more connection, how those things could be avoided. Yeah. And I think sometimes we experience the benefits of yoga without always knowing the name of what's happening to us.
Right.
That's kind of what we're aiming at with this podcast, is to name the benefits, right? Yeah. To name the connection, to name the union. And I think we feel those benefits as yoga teachers. We feel those benefits through YTT. We feel those benefits as yogis, which makes us so, so excited when we first started teaching, or when we first start teaching. And sometimes it can make us susceptible to what Bella mentioned. Right. I don't want to go without mentioning a little bit of,
the spa situation.
Yeah, the spa situation. Right.
Well, think about this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like when you went through your teacher training, right? And when I went through my teacher training, when anybody does, when they release you from training, congratulations, here's your certificate. The first thing you want to do is share yoga with everybody.
Yeah, immediately.
And you want to find any place, anyone that would take you on and let you teach there.
Did your 200 provide a business of yoga module?
Yes.
Okay, mine too.
Yep.
I think ours is rare in that regard, though.
Yeah, for sure. But I think they have to have it as part of Yoga Alliance
Now. But how long do you think that's been a requirement?
I mean, they've rewritten that thing so many
few
different
times.
times. Yeah.
I mean, they just did the big change, 2 years ago?
Wait, can we talk about this for just 1 second?
Sure.
Did you see the latest post about the Yoga Alliance? This woman wrote an article
I think I did see that.
about how much the Yoga Alliance CEO made last year. It was like $500 and some odd $1,000.
Whatever, dude.
And like how a average yoga teacher who teaches as much as they
It
need
makes like
to,
$5,000.
it's literally like it was literally like
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
no, it was bad. It was like $39,000, and it was like, wait a minute, you're making over $500,000 a year as a CEO of a nonprofit.
I mean, they can. That's reality. I mean, universities are nonprofits, and those presidents are making the same. Not that those are comparable. I think the president of a university should be making more than the president or CEO of Yoga Alliance. But
that's the problem.
We should have a whole.
We should
do a whole episode on that. I'd be very down.
Yeah, I would be too, because I
don't
think
know.
that's
I feel so 50-50.
with what regulation on yoga.
Like I think we have to invest in Yoga Alliance.
Absolutely. I don't know if it's a Yoga Alliance. I don't know what it is.
There's nothing else.
There's this new one now.
I'm not doing it.
I know.
Just kidding. We'll come back to this.
We'll
come back to this.
We're just
put a
joking
pin
around.
in this one. But yeah,
we'll put a pin in this one for sure. But I think too, let's talk about the
I think
advantage.
it's rare. The business of yoga component is rare, and I think
it's if it's done well.
And if it's done well, and I think again, because people experience such personal transformation, they get really hesitant around the idea of yoga being a business.
Right. Exactly.
And so there's this willingness to give it away for free. There's a willingness to share it at any and all costs, including zero cost, right? Yeah. And I do think there's, I don't know, it's a gray zone, right? There's a little component of when you first start teaching, you need to get some teaching under your belt before you start charging $20 for someone to be in your class, wherever it may be, right? Like most teachers who are out of their 200 are not ready for a studio class, in my opinion. But that's the
problem.
Oh, that's a whole nother thing.
Biggest problem.
Let's do a whole 200 episodes.
I know. But seriously though, it's like when you think about this, like in a comprehensive Pilates certification, right? You are learning and then you are going on the job and learning. You have to have teaching hours, and you have to have observation hours, and you have to have student hours that you're actually practicing before you can get your certification.
Yeah. I think people, right? I mean, the whole 200 thing is a whole, let's do a side episode, put a pin in it.
Exactly.
But I think because you're so excited, you're so willing, it is easy to get yourself in a situation like Bella's.
Yeah.
Right. And I think for in Bella's scenario, it was, I think, very sad, very upsetting, but also she was lucky that it only lasted as long as it did.
Yeah, she only had 3 pop-ups with them.
Right, because there are institutions, businesses, people who will take advantage of you for months, if not years.
Oh, yeah.
I was shocked to find out that there are studios not paying their teachers for their community classes.
I think that's illegal.
So that's what I thought. I don't freaking know.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I think you guys will hear it in one of our upcoming episodes, that there are studios that say part of your contract with us is teaching a free class because it's free to the people. It's free for you.
Yeah.
And so when I was, owning FSY and we would bring someone on, if I asked them to sub our community class or would you be interested in taking our community class, I often and frequently got the question, well, is that like, is there pay or is that for free? I was like, of course it's paid. It's paid the same as all of our other classes. And where Adrian and I worked together, we were paid for it. But I think also sometimes, again, teachers are excited and sometimes businesses are not excited. So
exactly. Or they have a different idea.
Totally. Another place that Adrian and I worked was really, really resistant to the idea of a community class. And so teachers were volunteering, well, what if I teach it for free? Because they wanted people to have that access point so badly that they were willing to do it for free. And I understand that. Yeah. But then it puts you in a really tough position. So, I don't know. What are to me, here were the red flags.
Yeah.
right? And here are red flags for me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
If someone tells me they don't want me to do Sanskrit, red flag.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If someone tells me they don't want all that woo-woo or whatever, I don't even know.
Chakra talk, energy
Chakra
talk.
energy talk, yeah. And they call it woo-woo usually.
Yeah.
That's a red flag for me.
Mm-hmm.
Red flags for me, I don't know. I don't even teach anywhere I don't want to teach. You know what I mean? I'm so over it. Those are red flags.
I think that if look around, the same thing like if you're looking to buy a house, right? You want to look around at the neighborhood and you want to look at the cars in the neighborhood. You want to look at the way the houses are decorated. You want to look at like how they keep their lawns. Does it look like you?
What are your red flags though? Like if a place were like, we're going to do this and you're like, oh no, I'm good.
Red flags are hard lines in yoga philosophy, right? Or yoga practice sequencing. Like you cannot do this or you will not do that.
Yeah. Actually, another red flag for me is sequenced.
Yeah. Yeah.
Set sequences.
Yep. Set sequences without having the ability to customize it.
Well, that's to me a set sequence.
Right. Yeah. It is a set sequence. I think too, like when
I will say this, that's a me red flag.
Yeah.
There are people that get a lot of benefit from set sequence. There are teachers that get a lot of benefit from set sequence. I have been at a studio where I did not teach a set sequence, but they had a set sequence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For me, I'm not teaching a set sequence.
Yeah. I mean, I like a good outline. That's what I like. I like a good outline. Give me a skeleton of like, hey, this is how we build a sequence here. And if it fits in alignment with the way that I build sequences, great. I mean, where I teach now, do I feel like I'm teaching yoga? No, I don't. I'm a square peg in a round hole right now.
What's the least that you'd be willing to get paid for a class right now? And we're in totally different spots in this, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to think about it, it depends, right? Like if I'm at a domestic shelter, domestic violence shelter with women and they ask me to come in and teach, I might do it for free.
What about a studio?
At a studio, it depends. If
mom and pop, brand new, just opened.
I don't know. I think I would be willing to accept. It's an even energetic exchange is what I'm looking for, right? So the energy around the money or the support, right? So it's like I might go to work at a yoga studio that has, a very low pay scale, but yet they're also offering continuing education.
Mine's $30.
$30 is probably good.
I think that's my low end right now.
But here's the other thing. Think about this. Where is it?
Yeah.
Do you have to drive far to get there? Do you have to be there half an hour beforehand? Do you have to clean? Do you have to
Totally.
You have to do the front desk? Do you have to?
Well, and then full transparency. Right now, I'm working somewhere where I get a split. Mm-hmm. I get 65% of everything that's brought in.
Yep.
So it could be less than $30.
Yeah.
But I'm very motivated to make sure it's more than $30.
Exactly. That's the difference.
I'm working at a situation that I set up at a gym. I'm getting $40 plus $5 a head for anyone I bring.
Yep.
And then what's my other one? Oh, and I just set up a donation-based class. Yeah. So again, uncapped potential.
Right.
That's where I'm operating right now.
Right. Well, and it's that energy exchange, like what you want to invest in, right? Where do you want to spend your time? And I think that is one of the things that new yoga teachers will do is they will spread themselves really thin. They'll go, if they get a yes at one studio and then they go to another studio and they say yes, then they'll have 15 different classes a week at 15 different yoga studios.
And unless you're doing this full time, I really don't see a need to. No. That's just my opinion.
Exactly.
Now, those who are doing this full time, this is your only source of income. Totally. Yeah. I understand you need to be at 5 places.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, like you said, proximity.
Mm-hmm.
The one studio that I teach at is not even a 10-minute drive from my house. Right. It's so close and I can go all neighborhoods together. I love it.
Yeah.
The gym that I work at is the gym that I go to.
Yeah,
and
that's the other thing.
The donation-based class is close to work for me. So it's on my way home and it's a third space that I like to hang out. It's at a game shop.
Yeah.
And so,
what I was just thinking about when you were talking about red flags, the other thing about red flags for me is, do they have everything in writing? Is there a contract? Is there clear communication?
I need that if it's like a corporate situation.
I need it in general. I want to know what your expectations are. If you own the yoga studio and I come in as, yoga teacher A, and I want to make sure that I'm meeting the expectations that you have for a teacher
Right.
and vice versa. Again,
Well,
even
yeah, you
energetic
definitely can't be
exchange.
like, why didn't you do this and you didn't have it in writing?
Right.
For
And that's
sure.
the thing I think that happened with Bella is, hey, I taught these 3 30-minute pop-ups, but then you come back and tell me that you didn't like the fact that my parents came.
Wackadoo. I remember another red flag.
Oh, yeah.
When the space is owned by someone who is not a yoga teacher.
Yes. A
That's really
passion
tough.
project. Oh my God, I hate that so much. This is my passion project.
Or if someone wants you to teach yoga and is unwilling to do yoga.
Yeah, who doesn't
Like, that's
practice
crazy.
yoga. Mhm.
Like at my gym, obviously, they are not yoga teachers.
No.
But the gym owners come to my yoga class. That's
because
so
they
different.
because they have support yoga.
Yeah.
They understand the value of it, and I think that is where green yoga teachers can find some big red flags. Is when they go someplace like a spa who doesn't have yoga, and then they turn around and say, well, you're not big enough for us, you didn't pull enough people in, you gave me 3 fucking classes for 30 minutes, fuck you.
Yeah, unreasonable expectations of what can be done in a
Yes.
certain amount of time.
Yes. That's a big one because
yeah.
even like where I work right now,
Numbers.
it's all about numbers.
Yeah.
It's all about numbers. And then you turn around and you change a class and, people drop off. And with yoga, I think it's different. And maybe I'm wrong, but I've been in, corporate yoga. I've been in corporate group fitness. I've been in big box fitness. I've been in small box fitness. So I understand that like group fitness numbers are, I believe, the class size, the averages, the growth, the potential, the amount of time it takes to get them going. Yoga is a little bit of a slow burn.
Yeah, unrealistic expectations.
Yep.
Red flag.
Yep, exactly. Red flag. What about like would they make you sign a non-compete?
Red flag.
Red
and
flag.
illegal.
Yeah, exactly.
At least in Texas. I don't know about elsewhere. Illegal.
They
No, that
make
shit's crazy.
you-
I'm so sorry. That you almost blew my mind.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Like literally, there's been talks at places that I've worked and work
I mean, same.
that say like, oh no, you can't work down the street.
Well, I know. Well, when I stepped down from one yoga lead position, apparently they tried to make the new yoga lead do that. Like
Yeah.
they gave like a certain mile radius. I was like, a red flag. I
Yeah.
think was it there? I think I got texted, called, and were like, were you asked to sign this? I was like, hell no. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't have. Like,
No. Well, read what you're signing, right?
yeah.
Be clear with your communication. Here's the other thing I would say is if, ask if they have insurance, right? That's a red flag. If they're not, how many teachers do they have on staff? How many classes are there on the schedule? What's their membership like?
Yeah.
Are you coming in to help build a community or is the established community already there?
Yeah.
Those aren't really
Yeah.
red flags, but it's more like
What
watch
is
out.
being expected,
Right,
for sure. Yeah,
right.
I think a red flag or something that I do, or I used to. I'm chilling with where I'm teaching now. I don't need more places, but something that I did when I first moved to San Antonio, when I was looking for potential studios, when someone else had reached out to me, is I then went and took class.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
And-
red flag is you don't take class.
Oh yeah, totally. But also, I mean, like, you're going to get some red flags right there in terms of what's acceptable. Lucas and I, it's funny, both went to a studio. My first class was 5 years ago. His first class was, 5 weeks ago, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We both had terrible first experiences.
Yeah.
And I remember being so embarrassed because I brought someone with me
Oh,
that
God.
I was embarrassed that I brought someone to a yoga studio that I was thinking about teaching at, and it was a bad experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
if can't take pride in it,
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
an issue.
For sure. That's a huge red flag. If you're like, if you walk in and it doesn't suit you, red flag.
totally.
Right. Like I feel like the vibe of the teachers, a big red flag for me is no continuing education.
Yeah.
That's a big red flag because if you care about me as a teacher, that means you care about your community because I'm going to help you build your community or I'm going to bring in people that are like-minded like me.
I'm trying to think. I think almost everywhere I've worked has had some form of continuing education.
Not me. Where I work right now, no,
And I
it's not
guess when
valued unless it's their continuing education. And that's, again, where I have a
That's
problem with
technically
it.
there though,
Yeah, ish.
but
At
it's
a
not
cost.
yoga,
At a
and
cost.
they don't have yoga ones, right?
They do.
That's different.
They have yoga ones, but their yoga ones are
But
not.
in the time that you've worked there.
Yes, but they're not. They're trainings. They're not classes. They're not, workshops. They're
Yeah.
not, off of, a couple of CEUs here or there. There's nothing like that right now that I know
Yeah.
of in the
Because
field.
I don't think, have y'all had a 200 since you've started working?
Not at our yoga studio, no.
Yeah. And not a 3.
Absolutely not.
And not like a weekend training.
Nothing.
Yeah.
The only trainings that I've done have been like a little tiny bit for assisting and adjusting because I was asked to do it, or I was
Was it
asked to help.
And you let it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I let it, and I got to do it the way I wanted to do it, with their guidelines in mind.
Yeah.
Like I'm willing to work inside I'll draw inside the lines. I won't, I won't make my crayon markers go outside the lines, but I will say that, I'm very comfortable where I am right now with my job, and teaching yoga, because I feel like overall in San Antonio, we're lacking teaching yoga. We're really lacking that. Like, I can't tell you a studio that I've been at besides yours that I learned something. And that to me is really, really sad.
Yeah.
Because I'm 51 years old. I've been teaching and practicing yoga forever. But every time I take a class, when I would be in Chicago, when I'd be traveling, I would learn something.
Yeah.
And I feel like what I'm learning right now is the ego of yoga is very prevalent.
I think it would
Or
take
the
a lot
ego.
more searching
Yeah.
than
Yeah,
it would have
exactly.
previously, or it would have in Chicago. I'm very curious with Chris's matrix.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Like all
Yeah.
the classes. I think we should do something like that.
I
think
know.
that could be good. But I think it would take a lot more searching. You're right.
Mhm.
And also, my studio is not the only studio that closed.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Right. That's the biggest thing.
Ashtanga studio closed, and they were
Mhm.
doing continuing education and workshops, and
Yeah.
that's sad. But I think I'm sure it's out there. It's just a lot harder to find, and what's prevalent is not that.
Right. Well, and I think it's because, going back to the whole conversation about Yoga Alliance and like having a credible organization like, AFA, or what is it called? NASM and ACE and all of those programs, like those are all providing a very strong, credible, I learned a lot. And really, when you look at what NASM and ACE are, they are, online trainings. They're not 200, 300, 500-hour trainings. They're not 95, 85-hour trainings. They're like, read this book, take this test kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's just crazy. And I feel like I'm very, very lucky to have had the opportunity in Chicago to learn yoga at so many different places.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that is one of the issues with communities that don't have a lot of higher education in yoga, is that they get stagnant
Totally.
and they get
That's kind of
still.
where we're at right now.
We are.
At least it feels that way.
Yeah.
I don't want to be so, I think there are pockets of it. There's
Mhm.
pockets of opportunity, and I hope to continue to offer pockets and, do what we can. But all that to say, new yoga teachers, there's
Yeah.
a lot to figure out and navigate for yourself. Again, it's kind of, what do I want for myself?
Yep.
Because when Bella and I had this conversation, when the spa opportunity was presented to her, she kind of asked, well, what should I get paid? Well, what should I ask for? Well, what do I need? And what do I ask for in this situation?
Yeah.
To which I told her, you have to figure that out for yourself, right?
Mhm.
Since this is early on in your teaching career, I would say that the following range is appropriate to ask for,
Mhm.
and or
Yeah.
can you get a per head split? I think that
Right.
is the most fair pay structure.
Yep. I agree.
Uncapped
Mhm.
split is amazing.
Yep.
Now it can be hard if you only have 2 people,
Yep.
but I'm trying to think.
Or like a
One-
baseline plus a head count.
yeah.
Those are nice too.
Yeah, I think that requires, most places aren't going to offer that.
No.
I'm so lucky that my gym does. I'm very
Mhm.
grateful, but
Mhm.
very few places offer that in a way that actually works or benefits you, I guess. Not necessarily benefits, but when it's the per head, it's usually like $1 per head
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
where I'm at. I'm making like $10 a person
Yeah. That's huge.
on the low end.
Mhm.
And so all I need is 3 people
Yeah.
to
And you
break
get your
even
30.
at that 30,
Yeah.
right? So that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and I think that you hit the nail on the head there, is like, what your baseline is.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm willing to accept for yoga. For me, now that I'm further, I'm like, okay, I don't really have a number because it's really more about the energy. It really, really is. Because I mean, I taught yoga to a rehab facility in the middle of nowhere, somewhere in the
Right.
Midwest, and I got nothing for it, but I was, I loved it.
Yeah,
And
I remember.
that fueled me.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying that that's what I would do if I was a full-time yoga teacher and that was my income, but would I accept a lower rate for that kind of energy? Absolutely. But should I? I don't know. Should
Yeah.
I? That's the other question.
Yeah,
Am I
I
not
don't-
valuable? Right?
Yeah.
So
I
it's like-
very rarely believe in teaching yoga for free.
Agreed.
Not at this stage in our teaching.
No.
Not on
there
your
needs to be
stage. Like
something.
you
Yeah.
have so many hours of experience. You are so qualified.
Yeah.
I mean, they can throw you a $20 Target gift card or
Exactly.
something. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
which I don't necessarily
Yeah.
believe are gift cards either. But I mean,
No, but if you think about
something.
it too, like, okay, what if you're teaching at a studio, or you want to teach at a yoga studio, but you can't afford their membership, right? And as a teacher, do you get a free membership? Do you get a +1?
Yeah. And I mean, to me, that's almost like the base. I've
Yeah.
never taught anywhere that I don't get a membership. Have you?
Yeah, where
For
I
a
teach
yoga
now.
studio?
hmm
What?
Some of them have to pay for memberships. Yeah,
What is the requirement? Like, how much do you have to teach in order to get a membership?
I think it's on a per head basis, like a per person basis. I
So they
really don't
decide
know.
individually
Yeah,
for everyone.
I really don't know.
Wow.
I'm not involved in that kind of detail, but from what I
But it's not
gathered,
just a yoga studio.
no, it's
Do you
not.
think that's why? Have you
Yeah,
ever worked at
yeah.
a strictly yoga studio that doesn't give you a membership?
No.
Actually, and I take that back. I'm currently somewhere where I get a class pack
Oh yeah,
per
yeah,
month.
Yeah,
And I'm content with that too.
yeah. As long as it's something that, like, I mean, at the end of the day,
Well,
it's
especially, I do
dumb.
think I could have a conversation and say, hey,
Yeah.
can I have one extra class this month? And I'd be
Exactly.
told yes. But I was told that most teachers aren't taking advantage of it.
That's what
That's
I'm talking about.
wild.
That's why. But that goes
But
back
also-
to the
and that's why
same
you don't
question.
get it. Yeah.
Yeah, you get the
You
reason.
guys are exhausting me.
Yeah, I know exactly. It's like the reason that you don't get you don't get good teachers is because they're not practicing there.
Totally.
Right? They're not. And that is the key to it, is if you're going to, this is a red flag, right? Is if you go to class and you don't see other yoga teachers from that community,
Yeah.
right? Like if you go to a bunch of classes that are popular or like a good teacher and you don't see another teacher or another person that from that community that works there, obviously it might just be a one-off deal, but
It's tough.
my idea is, your yoga studio, if you really care about the place, then you want to practice there and you
Yeah.
want to be in community. You want to build your classes because they won't know you at 6 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays unless you go on Monday and Wednesdays at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Or you go, on a weekend, or you go at night, or you go and you invest in the community
Totally.
and learning and being a part of it. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere. Period.
Well, Bella, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time. And thank you for talking to us and sharing with us and being so open. Don't forget to follow us at Yoga Changed. Follow Bella. We'll put all of her info in the show notes. And that was a good conversation, though.
Agreed.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Bye, yogis.